Welcome back, everybody, to the Art by Casey Brom YouTube channel. Today we're going to be doing another request video from my Instagram feed. I got a lot of awesome requests, so there's a whole bunch of videos that I've got to do. So many awesome requests, but today we're going to be doing the one I thought would be the hardest, the most challenging. The great thing about requests is they push you outside your comfort zone. So this was definitely that, and this is Mushroom People. So here we go. Let's have a little watch. This is a time lapse. I'm just going to do a little bit of talking over top. So start out right away just figuring out what on earth I'm doing. So I do a little bit of foraging, I guess, mushroom picking, as real mushroom pickers call it. So I know a little bit about mushrooms, so I'm just kind of playing around with some different mushroom shapes and no real thoughts about composition or lighting or anything yet, just trying to figure out what are mushroom people. So I quickly jump into this one and just start thinking, okay, well, maybe it's mushrooms that are, human mushrooms, real mushroom people, instead of just like people that like mushrooms. But yeah, here we go. I'm just kind of starting to figure out what on earth they could possibly look like. I'm making nothing's in stone yet. I'm not kind of married to anything yet. It's all going to change. I just need to figure out what and how any of this could possibly work. You see, I'm just in Photoshop here, working really quick. At the beginning, I just kind of make sure that I'm always getting lots of ideas down. I'm not worried about clean lines. That's just gone. Didn't like that way that chanterelle mushroom was going. I couldn't think of how the kind of structures and things were going to work on that. So here I'm just kind of contemplating some ideas. So I decided to go with something a little different, and this guy ends up being one of my favorite parts of the piece. So this is a Morel Mushroom, and I just imagined kind of like some eyes peeking out. So like the outside of the mushroom is almost like a helmet or a mask or something, and some little eyes peeking out, a little mouth down there. And to make them people, they need to have some sort of appendages. So I just start blocking in kind of the basic shapes of where all the different kind of holes and pockets and things in the mushroom would be. Thinking a little bit about light. We're gonna have to have some shadows in here just to show off the shape and structure of the mushroom a little bit. He looks so angry and upset. Bring it down a little bit just to start getting some of those tones in. You'll see with this I do a lot of all my kind of tones, my grayscale first, and then I can go from there and add some color. And this is in no way going to end up a finished piece, but it's a fun sketch, and I think it's going to be really good. Again, I'm not thinking about composition too much or anything yet. I'm more just thinking about figuring out how these mushroom people would work, the structure of them, and just thinking about that, how they would kind of function. Again, just going and throwing in some kind of shadows and thinking a little bit about what it would look like to have people that were also mushrooms. Just a few shapes for a bit of a background, a little bit of tone. I'm thinking about composition now a little bit. You'll see I just kind of start juggling the characters around a little bit, just trying to start figuring it out. I'm just kind of imagining that, maybe sort of grassy, mossy sort of thing. Oh, and here's the kind of fun idea. I wanted is kind of the ribs of the mushroom coming up. That's the wrong word. Veins, maybe? I don't remember. Anyways, to kind of turn into his eyebrows or something like that. So I thought that would be kind of fun. So I just start building these a little bit. See, I'm just thinking about almost like drapery, where you have kind of these bright edges and then this kind of dark shadow coming up alongside, to kind of create this reflected light. I spend a lot of time on this character, considering by the end he's not even really a main character. But again, I'm just kind of throwing some shapes in. I don't know what that kind of squiggle I just did was. I'm starting to think more about like what other mushrooms would be really cool. So I decided, this guy's not a main character. This guy's interesting, but maybe not. Just delete that guy. Yeah. And so now I'm starting to think about composition a little bit more, where these guys would go. So I'm just kind of getting them small and out of the way. Beauty of Photoshop is you're really not tied down with anything. You can just kind of keep throwing it around and moving things, and there's no limit to how much you can change things as you go. It's just a matter of, you know, time, making choices. So this kind of mushroom is one of my favorites, but they're always kind of like there and then gone. So a shaggy mane, but he's kind of like, looks like a wizard, or a, you know, almost like, you know, he's bringing some news. He's got some information to share with these folks probably about the end of time, because, you know, a shaggy mane's a good mushroom for about 10 minutes, it would seem. So I'm just sliding these guys down, trying to play again with composition, thinking about that a little bit. Nope, not there, over here. So yeah, just playing around with where things could go. And yeah, adding an extra little Morel guy in there. And yeah, again, Photoshop, just so awesome. Going digital means you don't have to make, no decision is final. So I'm just kind of going in. You can see I'm still working on that same first layer. Just getting all my grayscale in, all my tones, worry about color later. And if I was going for like a really finished, polished piece, I could just, you know, take this stage, this kind of grayscale stage, to a much more finished, completed stage than I do here. More polished edges, crisper lines, you know, that kind of stuff. And depends on the feel that you want too. Do you want it to be more kind of painterly and loose, or tighter? Anyways, there's kind of some, I don't know exactly what the storyline is here, but we've kind of got this guy on the left here, and he's looking like he's a little upset with somebody's ideas. And the guys on the right here are having their own argument, and the, I don't know, wizard shaggy mane here is just kind of doing his own thing too. Maybe not the best composition, but I just kind of wanted to play around with the ideas of mushroom people, trying to figure out a few different types. Here I'm just going in with my airbrush and just filling out kind of the background, getting some tones. It would be kind of boring on just a plain background, so I'm just kind of getting some shapes in there. I'm not too worried about what they are. I mean, we obviously have a tree here. Here I'm just darkening up the background a little bit. Too red, too gray. There, and so now we're working on more of like kind of a medium background. Everything's kind of brought down a little bit rather. And so we can really bring some highlights back out in a little while. Some of it's about planning ahead. Some of it's about seeing the next step. But a lot of it is just kind of going by feel. I feel like I'm a very instinctive kind of artist, and I don't get too caught up in planning things out or having a grand idea. So shaggy manes kind of have this scaly cap that usually, when it's a good mushroom, it kind of surrounds the entire stem. But like this one, when it starts to get old and it's called inky and soft, the caps peel up, and that's kind of the stage that this guy's in. And it leaves kind of these little shelves, like these little veins. I don't know why I'm using that word so much, but kind of these little shelves along the stem. And so I've kind of used those to kind of give him some more character. A hole in the cap. But again, you see I knocked it down a little bit, and now I'm just going over with a little bit more of a finished line drawing. If I wanted to get really clean, finished sort of look, a lot more time would be spent on this. But this is kind of a fun stage to kind of start to really figure things out, tie things down a little bit rather than it being so loose. This is a lot of fun because you get to really make some big choices. I mean, a little bit scary too, but mostly you're just making big choices. So I kind of imagine some sort of like a little evergreen twig as his little staff here. And he said I jump around a lot, but these little guys are fun. This guy looks so angry. And again, just kind of going and getting some line in there, defining a little bit where my shadows are going to be. Trying to imagine this guy and the guy behind him is, you know, having a bit of an argument. This guy's obviously upset, and he's just like, no way. I decided he has a hand where he's just kind of casting his hand behind him saying, no more. And he's just kind of off. Maybe he's going to follow this, whatever, shaggy mane prophet that's walking away here. And it's kind of fun to play with the stories a little bit. Again, maybe not the best composition, but it was kind of fun to just do a quick sketch of mushroom people. Way outside of my comfort zone. I mean, usually I'm doing wildlife, sometimes people and different characters, but these guys are definitely outside of what I normally do. So thanks for the request. I don't remember who did it on Instagram, but just a great request. Something fun and funny, and something I would have never kind of thought of to do, but definitely pushes me outside my comfort zone. So if you have other ideas, feel free to follow along on Instagram at CABRAAM, and request more things there, or request in the comments below. And also, of course, make sure to like and subscribe this video. I decided that these can't be the only mushrooms, so maybe there's a whole following here. I'm not going to characterize these ones very much, just make these ones kind of look more just natural. But, you know, the imagination tells you that they're probably characters too. I think it's fun to play with the edges. So on these closer characters, we have a lot more kind of hard to find edges. Oh, I decided to throw some other mushrooms on here. Just some little shelf fungus of some kind. That's a bit light. So yeah. And now I'm going to start playing around with pulling it kind of back out again. I feel like with dark you're always pushing it back. And with light you can kind of pull it forward. So start working in kind of that third dimension. But then, you know, I have some ideas about putting branches in. But that's too busy, so I just delete that. And then we're going to get back to kind of building some of these shapes. Putting a bit of texture onto the bark. Again, if this was more of a completed piece, I would go in and really start to build. Alright, so now I've added another layer. So this is a overlay layer. And what I'm doing here is I'm just picking some light tones with my airbrush. And kind of filling in some of the areas just as a base for some color. Now the overlay kind of, you know, shows all your background tone coming through, so you know you feel like you're not just deleting it all. And so it kind of having all that tone and gray in the background kind of gives you a nice start once you start adding some color, if that makes any sense. And here I'm just really just going over everything. I'm not worried too much about lights and darks yet. I'm just kind of getting the colors blocked in. And here we go. I can start adding a little bit of highlight and low light just into some of the shapes. Morels are such interesting kind of gnarled looking mushrooms that, you know, they're some of my favorites. Amanitas, bright red tops, the classic storybook mushroom. I figured we needed some of those in there just to, you know, appease the mushroom crowd. So I'm just grabbing some of the browns. You can see I use the eyedropper a lot, just going around and grabbing different colors, especially as I establish my colors on the canvas, on the screen, I guess. Then I can start really color grabbing a lot, and then my values kind of start to agree with each other a lot more. So this is all still on that overlay layer. I'll switch between an airbrush and one of the more rough kind of drawing charcoal-y kind of brushes now and then, just to give it a bit more texture. That's too brown, so I go and gray it up a little bit. And again, if this was more finished, I'd go and really block in all my colors. I'm trying to decide, I want kind of a glow somewhere, but I'm not really sure where. You can see I jump around a bit. So what I do is I actually add another layer and get an airbrush and just start playing around with giving kind of a glow above this. We'll call them the prophet mushroom. And all of this can be as messy, you know, as you want. And I can turn the opacity up and down on the layer. Okay, now I'm adding a multiply layer. So same thing. I'm just kind of going over top, and it's going to multiply. It's going to add onto what's there already in place. But I'm just using a dark now to start building up some shadows under the nose, around the chin, underneath all those little shelves. There's lots of things that need to happen here to start giving it some depth, especially with that glow coming down from above. It's kind of nice to have some hard shadows coming in as well. Now what I'll do later, none of this shadow is kind of final, so some of it I'll leave, but a lot of it when I go in, especially if I'm doing a really finished piece, I'll go in on a normal layer and just color grab and use some of the blending that was created using this multiply brush, and just kind of amplify or downgrade some of it just to kind of smooth edges and create shape. I flattened it all so that I can erase and grab and just kind of work on all the layers together. So what I'm doing now is I have a normal layer, and I'm doing what I was just saying. I'm color grabbing a lot and just kind of building some of the details and shapes and blending so that it's not just one, even, or so it doesn't have hard edges. If I want things to be a little more even and round, say like the stem of this guy or all the wrinkles and creases, then that's just kind of nice to do on a normal layer. What I'm doing here, I decided I needed some sort of a beard, but I didn't want to do hair per se, so I'm just kind of adding some more little projections coming off from the stem of the mushroom. I don't know if he's like, his mouth is so wide open. I don't know if he's just like speaking loudly or like chanting or singing angelically. I figured his eyes needed to be glowing just a little bit, so I started working on that as well at some point here. And just a few little shadows and things going on underneath some of this stuff. I'm thinking about that radiating light kind of shining down from above, and the way that he's got shadows building up underneath any down facing surfaces. Yeah, he's pretty fun. Hands, of course, are always a bit of a tricky thing. I like the way that open hand ended up looking. It's got some cool depth. When I was originally drawing it, I was thinking they would have kind of more mushroomy hands, but they needed a few more human type features, so I decided almost human hand would be, okay. Just defining kind of some little mushroom feet. I imagine when he picks up his feet, there's kind of like, little tiny roots or something almost that come down. Looking pretty neat. I'm just going on, still on that normal layer, just with some black and just kind of outlining a little bit. It's kind of a cartoony piece, so it can have lots of black line. I have no issues with that. Just building and building. You see, I stay zoomed out pretty much for the entirety of this. If I was, again, doing a really finished piece, I'd be zooming in more towards the end and really, cleaning up lines around the face and nose and that sort of thing. Again, just cleaning up, going around. You can see I have a little bit of attention deficit the way I just kind of jump around from piece to piece. But it's kind of how my brain works. I just see something and go fix it, and see something and go fix it, or build it, or however you want to think about that. That's just kind of how I function on these. Again, it's a sketch, so I'm not super worried about all the details of the grass and whatever. I guess it would be kind of a mossy bottom. So what I'm doing now is still in that normal layer. I just got an airbrush in sort of a dark gray color, just to kind of really amplify the fact that he's glowing. So I kind of am just kind of shrouding the edges in a little bit of shadow. And now I'm kind of working opposite that. I'm going brighter, some yellowy kind of shades. I think I just color grabbed from some of the already light areas and just spreading a bit more of that around. Defining the hand a little bit more, defining the top, so all those little shelves that make up kind of his shape. This is really fun, and thanks again for all the awesome requests for drawing on my Instagram page. It's fun to see them all coming in and all the awesome ideas people have. People have been asking for a lot of wildlife ones. I mean, that's kind of my thing. So we'll get into more of those soon. I want to do some kind of even more just lesson sort of videos about how to draw, certain types of animals, or how I just tackle drawing animals from reference, or that sort of thing. So comment below on what you want to see in the future too on my YouTube channel. We're just getting into this thing, and I hope to see a lot more people here soon. So yeah, just let me know what you want to see here. More instructional videos, more fun, more just, maybe I could just do simple time lapses without me babbling on the whole time. But we're getting pretty close to the end. I'm starting to just build some grass on here. I figured I need a little bit of foreground, but I wasn't too worried about it. This is all still just on that normal layer. Just building up some fun detail. And you can see how much depth and kind of detail we built without going in and carefully doing every little piece through all the different layers at the beginning. So now I have a lighten layer on. And I just color grabbed some of that glow color. And I'm just making a little bit bounce off all the different characters. And again, if this was a really completed piece, we could spend a lot more time just rendering this to no end, making everything look just right. This is kind of a fun sketch. I kind of like the looseness of it. Some more glowy dots. There's something magical about dust suspended in light. That's always nice. Try some reflected blue light here, but it doesn't really work for me. It doesn't really make sense, so I just kind of skip it and just move into kind of cleaning up the face here a little bit. If anything's going to be closer to being finished, I may as well make it the main character piece. So I figured I'll go in and just detail up his face a little bit. So what I'm doing here is doing a lot of color grabbing. You'll see the little eyedropper thing come on a lot. I'll be grabbing the colors that already exist there and just kind of working with those to create more definition and shape and that sort of thing in the face. So I'm just going back and forth with lights and darks to create some shape. There was no real ear on this on his left hand side, so I decided to build a bit more structure there. I didn't want it to be the same as the other ear. Mushrooms aren't often perfectly symmetrical, so, and if there's one hole, there's got to be another one. So just kind of building that up as well. You can see I finally zoomed in a little bit, but yeah, that's about it. A few little lines here and there in the grass, just because, why not? And yeah, we're getting pretty close to the end. I hope you like this mushroom people. They're kind of fun and exciting and magical looking. Again, just some little details here and there. I look at it now, the composition is actually kind of interesting. It's a little bit of fried egg in that the main character is just slapped in the middle, but I think it's still pretty fun. It could really turn into something. So there it is, all finished up. Okay, so thank you so much for watching. Please like this video, subscribe to this channel, and comment below what you want to see more of on the channel. Okay, thanks for watching, and hope you have a great day.